To begin my research, I looked into positive nostalgia by exploring the word jouissance. The word has many different connotations, but I wanted to focus on how it can represent a feeling beyond pleasure or a complex structure of pleasure. There's more to nostalgia than simple reminiscing. There are many complex and varying emotions attached to our memories, which are stimulated through our remembrance. Researching into jouissance brought me to The Pleasure of the Text by Roland Barthes, a French philosopher well known for his work on semiotics. The book is an interesting read, as the writing style reflects the author's passion for the written word. There's a lot of sexual metaphors in the book, and he describes the act of recording and reading as if it were lustful and sexual to the author or reader. A lot of the theory in the book relates to the almost sexual relationship between reader and text. One theory that really helped in my search to define nostalgic emotion was his idea of bliss and pleasure. Bliss refers to the moment you first experience something pleasurable. The first time you eat an ice cream, the first time you play outside, the first time you ride your first bike. The new is bliss, to quote him directly. The emotions felt within that moment are etched into your memory, setting up Barthes' premise for pleasure. Pleasure is defined by Barthes as an accidental or attempt to return to that moment of bliss. Returning to that moment of bliss derives pleasure and pain at the same time. Pleasure for the emotions we felt, and the pain at the realisation that we cannot return to that moment. Although Barthes only considered this in a reader and text relationship, this is true of other media. When I think about it, this is true of animations I've watched, video games I've played. The game Metal Gear Solid, for example, I reckon I've played that at least 2 times a year. I consider mull over the emotions and joy I get from playing it, but I can never truly return to that initial playthrough, the first time I ever put it in the console and played it. Everyone can testify that the pleasure of the text is not certain. Nothing says that the same text will please us a second time. It is a friable pleasure split by mood, habit, circumstance, a precarious pleasure. So, in relation to my playing of Metal Gear Solid, each time I play is significant and never the same. Different moments of bliss are remembered. It's not saying that I will enjoy my return at all. Speculating what an audience has blissfully experienced can be used to manipulate them through a medium. If the animator can boil down a specific nostalgic memory into something universally recognisable, then this can allow for a large reaction from multiple audience members. Take, for example, in an animated film, a boy riding his bike for the first time. There's a high chance of a large percentage of the audience having an experience similar to this. Going back to Barthes, the text of pleasure is not necessarily the text that recounts pleasure. One could say that the site of textual pleasure is not the relation of mimic and model, imitative relation, but solely that of dupe and mimic, relation of desire, of production. What this means is that it's not the image of a child riding a bike and enjoying himself that provokes pleasure in an audience, but the relative emotions and act of returning to their own personal childhood joy which engages them. Barthes' work on pleasure and bliss is a key example in understanding the structure of emotion relative to audience nostalgia as they view animation.